Alright, fam. So they are saying Little Uzi's girl deleted Twitter after flopping. It's tough. Lil Uzi's girl is flopping in the streets. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. This video is by Hello Yosini. Support to some place. Let's go.
What's poppin', y'all? This actually disappointed me, and it had to do with JT and the response to her most recent single, which people thought was an album. We have a perfect tie-in to why botting exists, and people are always like, yo, I don't know why they bot. Why don't people just not bot and just drop good music? Okay, this is exactly why. I'm going to show you guys two headlines right now. So there was one headline via chart data which said the following: JT released her song Girls Gone Wild is the song, it's not an album. So JT's Girls Gone Wild has reached #1 on the US iTunes hip-hop/rap songs chart, and they tagged at the girl JT, and this tweet got some good engagement, right? It's like 300 plus thousand views. Some people were hating on it. Some people were, kind of like making fun of her and saying that this wasn't a real metric. But the point is, what the perception is when somebody reads this is like, oh, wow, that's good. Well, the thing is, this is iTunes.
Well, that's why people bought. Exactly. That's it right there. Just so people can say, oh, it did well. I guess let me go listen to it. Meanwhile,
hip-hop rap chart, songs chart, which is not the regular iTunes chart. And the regular iTunes chart, it's also wouldn't be that crazy of an impressive. If you have a decently strong fan base, decent, and I'm talking about like, let's say even a D tier rapper, you can get to #1 on the regular iTunes chart because it goes by who buys the song. Now, it is a bit of a convoluted process to get to actually buying the song on iTunes because it's just not as accessible as it once was. But regardless, this stat looks good. That's the point of it. And I do believe, my belief here, I don't know if this to be true or not, is that this was a sponsored post. However, you get a random fan account, I believe a stan account. I don't know if this is a stan account or just an individual. I can't really tell because chart data also reported, keep in mind, same report, same account, JT's Girl Gone Wild earned 221,000 streams in its first full day of release on Spotify at the girl JT. And then this Twitter account says, no shade, this is so embarrassing for her. And JT deactivated. I think the deactivated part is really what makes it look worse than it is because that's the bothered part.
Maybe this was just a coincidence, Just because she flopped doesn't mean that's the reason she deactivated her Twitter.
Granted, this got me to check out the song. I didn't know that the song released. I don't really follow JT like that. I remember so I kind of get the negative news from JT and then I'll get the positive news here and there. Remember when she was going on a tour that was really, really tiny venues, but she was just building herself back up again. There was that news which people tried to aim at her and clown her for. But I remember she caught a song after that. I remember what the song was exactly. It was on this, they packaged it together with this Girls Gone Wild track. I think the song was it Alter Ego? No, that was a song that she was featured on. That was
it's not enough to just drop a track these days. Hey, you gotta do more. I won't lie to you.
The Adochi track. The song was Ran Out, I think. I think that one ended up charting. Regardless, she ended up having a charting song at one point in the comeback of her own career, which I had to give respect where respect was due. Like she did that. And she's been grinding for a while. But when she deactivates, it's almost like, okay, this is just, she's really bothered by this. But I checked the song out. I think the video is cool.
But at the same time, it's like, imagine now she offs herself, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll be like, oh my God, why did she take the comment so seriously? She should have just deactivated her Twitter if the comments would have got to her that badly. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I think for your own mental peace, take the Twitter away. Delete it, it's fine. You can always get it back later. You don't need it to be, yeah, I get it. It might look crazy. But at the same time, if that's going to affect you mentally, rather just not see anything happening on Twitter because you know how toxic Twitter is.
Isn't bad. It's just really not for me. That's really all there is to it. And it's almost, I really get kind of like an Azalea Banks inspired vibe from this one song.
What happened
like
to
the video
Azalea?
shoot, all of that. But the numbers, right? Let's run back to the numbers. 221,000 streams the first day. Also, the fact that we're calculating first day numbers on a single platform it's getting egregious. And even DDG talked about this, where he's like, yo, come on. And keep in mind, we didn't give DDG as much grace as we're giving JT because DDG's always flexing. He's flexing numbers, he's flexing viewer count, all of those other type of metrics. So we can't just let DDG get off the hook on that one. However, with JT, I don't see that by her too much. Now, she probably has talked her trash in the past. They wouldn't be on her head top for no reason. Although these stan pages, especially if she said anything negative about Nicki Minaj or any female rapper that has a really strong fan base, they're going to come back at her like this. But the way I responded to this was, what I said was, this is why mainstream artists bot. And I say mainstream specifically because underground, there are. So
nah,
there's
everybody bots. Underground, mainstream. I feel like I've seen bots on every level.
different factions, right? There's the quote unquote underground rappers that are part of the scene, which is there's an underground scene. There's a lot of people that follow the scene and they follow a lot of these different rappers. There are underground rappers that are getting paid attention to by the people in this scene, by these like kind of smaller micro bloggers that cover these guys. And they will always be micro bloggers because when you're covering something with such little attention, you can never really become that big. So,
well, unless the thing blows up, right? If it blows up, you never know what's gonna blow up. Things start little and then blow up big, right? So you can't just say that's all they'll ever be. Some people started small as well as micro bloggers and they blew up to bigger bloggers.
that's one faction. There's another faction of underground artists that they're just doing their own thing. They're not really a part of a scene. They're releasing music consistently. They've got their own solo fan base. They may not collaborate too often. So one side, the underground artists, independent artists as well, because there's a lot of underground artists that are signed. So the independent ones, they're not really botting. There isn't much of an incentive to bot because
there is. The incentive to bot is to fit in with the rest, to just make your shit look like it's competing with the other people so that people want to click because they're like, oh, if this guy's doing as much streams as flipping, 2 Chains, I don't know, flipping Usmabare, then, oh, he must be good, so let's listen to him. It's just for optics.
numbers aren't getting judged. They're really getting judged off of the music because their fans are like, okay, I like this guy. I'm going to listen to him. I'm going to add him to my playlist.
Yeah, but if he has more numbers, then more people are more likely to listen.
Gonna follow him. Versus underground, there's a lot of image games going on and they will bot because there's an incentive for them to seem bigger than other underground artists as well as potentially get signed because that's their goal. A lot of them are trying to go mainstream. So where does that put us with JT? The point is, with a mainstream artist, they will have to bot to sustain a certain level of numbers because when you come from City Girls and it's expected that you've had hits in the past, that's just supposed to continue somehow magically. Granted, when they had those hits in the past, they were working these records. There was radio, there was playlisting, etc. So if they don't bot, in this case, let's say with a JT, then they look at this number and people will clown the number. But if they do bot, then people don't have anything to say against the numbers and they may just judge the music as it is and probably listen to it more frequently. So
Not really. If they see that the numbers are low, I feel like a lot of people just hate, yo, you see the numbers are low, trash.
Botting is not even like, oh, we want to make this artist look more lit. At a certain point, and this scenario is a perfect example of it, the botting is, hey, this is just an insurance policy so people don't clown this and they won't even, because there are a lot of people that won't even check it out because of the way that this tweet was framed. Of like, oh, nobody even cares about this, so you shouldn't care about it either. Versus, well, if she did crazy, disgusting numbers that were botted, then people are going to be like, damn, what am I missing out on? A little bit of FOMO, and then they'll check it out. And the reason why I feel bad in this situation is because like so many mainstream acts have to go through this, and JT is somebody that's trying. Like a criticism I've had of Caribou in this beef with Georgiana and also partially with Lil Yachty is she's not trying. You're not trying to rap. You're not actively dropping music. I'll give a perfect example of one of Lil Yachty's.
But didn't Kara say that she's still held up in label deals with Yachty, and that's why it's a struggle to drop music?
Label mates at QC, Migos. When Migos were going through their issues with 300 Entertainment and it was like a lawsuit, they were trying to get out of a deal, they weren't allowed to drop music. What were they doing? And I think if my memory serves me correct, it was an interview that Murda Beats did with No Jumper way back in the day, damn. Yeah, this was maybe 2016 or so. And he was talking about how it was either Offset or Takeoff. Somebody was sending him Migos tracks tracks and asking him to leak them so that they could stay hot while they were going through this issue with 300, because they couldn't officially release music. So the music makes it on to SoundCloud, all these other platforms, and at this time it wasn't so heavy on Spotify and Apple Music streaming services. Like, you're not going to be able to release a song as the Migos on a streaming service without it being cleared. So, and that's where most people consume now. But back then, people would consume via mixtape sites, Spinrilla, DatPiff, Mixtape Monkey, live mixtapes, as well as SoundCloud and YouTube. So that's where these tracks would spread. And Migos would have a couple of songs during this like year and a half where they were popping, and the Migos could still do shows off of them, and the Migos were still relevant on music. So the leverage of you can't drop music didn't end up screwing them over like it did a Rich Homie Quan, who was also going through some stuff, I think, with either his manager or his label after he had that song Flex that was a huge hit, and he did not drop for a year and a half, and that really impacted him. Like, he got cold after that, and he was never really able to recover to that same level. So my point is, JT is actually trying, unlike her counterpart, who I don't even think they're cool anymore, Young Miami, who I don't even know what Young Miami is doing right now. She's
waiting for Diddy, boy. She's waiting for Diddy to come home.
Diddy. Young Miami is holding out for Diddy to get out of jail / prison. He's in prison right now. That's what she's holding out for. And she put out a whole statement after she shut her mouth through the whole case. That is her insurance policy. JT is with Lil Uzi Vert, but she's consistently dropping music. She's doing all of these shows. She's suffering this quote unquote embarrassment. I wouldn't call it embarrassment, because if you don't feel embarrassed by something, it's not embarrassing. That's all there is to it. And she's just grinding it out. She's still dropping music. She's trying to make stuff shake. And that's something that Caribou's not doing. That's something that Young Miami is not doing, but JT is. And to see her deactivate, I don't know if she deactivated for this reason, but it has to be something along those lines, because you've got a song that just came out like 3, 4, 5 days ago. It hasn't even been a week, and you're deactivating your Twitter. What are you doing? And like, this is a perfect example. I listened to this. Like, this is the example of the effect, the ripple effect. I listened to this song, and I don't think it's a bad song, because, and I'm not even the target audience of it, because people were clowning it, and then I talk about it, and then maybe a couple of people listen to it then, and maybe some people are fans of it, and it just keeps the ball rolling here. So if she's there actively talking about the song or addressing these haters, which I think she should, I think she should go back and forth with them, then it's only going to get more visibility for the music, instead of like kind of falling over or playing dead and disappearing, which people are going to clown even more. But if you ever wondered, like, yo, why are mainstream artists like botting their stuff? Or like Travis, it's just, that is the kindling of the flame for a mainstream artist. They've got a bot. They've got to make all the numbers seem great the first couple of days, so you don't see low numbers and think, damn, nobody's
I feel like that's for every artist now.
Messing with this. And that's just where we are. So botting is incentivized by the listener's behavior in some cases. I will have to say in some cases, because we're not letting them get off scot-free for doing all that botting. Some of the botting is to make somebody seem more lit, and it's not necessarily just following listener behavior. And in that case, that's when you've got these underground / smaller acts that they want to seem bigger than they really are. But let me know what y'all think about this situation. Like, subscribe, and
I mean, I don't think she should have deleted her Twitter, but if for mental reasons it helped, then sure enough. Look, man, the music industry is in a bit of a weird space at the end of the day. It's not easy for anybody to make money. It's not easy for anybody to seem larger than life, as it used to be, in music at least. That's more of a streamer influencer thing now. But at the end of the day, look, I don't think anybody should feel bad about doing bad numbers nowadays, bro. It's just like I said, music's in a weird space. She shouldn't take it too hard, and she should just keep pushing, man. Who cares, bro? At the end of the day, everybody hating ain't doing shit anyway. So why would she feed into the negativity? So anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. Your boy Doy's on Blaze. Catch you in the next one. Shout out to Hello Yassine. Big love to him. Go like, comment, and subscribe to him as well. Let's go.